Everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro and see how this particular iPhone holds up in 2024. Now, the thing I would definitely tell you is that I love both these phones, the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 10, and I don't know if there's like a phone that's like the best one of all time. Both these phones are very impactful. The 11 Pro is the better one here for sure, but the iPhone 10 was such an impactful iPhone. And the question is, should you go ahead and basically upgrade to the iPhone 11 Pro from an iPhone 10? Should you get even one of these phones, or should you just go and upgrade entirely to a different device? We'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video, but if you do want to pick up some iPhones that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular iPhones, on the iPhone 10, which came out back in 2017, which is actually so crazy, the iPhone 10 on the front had a 5.8-inch OLED display. So it was a Retina OLED display, and at the time it was like a good panel. You know, it was a good screen. I thought it was a really big change from the previous iPhones. You have to remember, the previous iPhones basically had like massive bezels and they were just so disgusting looking. Now with the iPhone 10, this one looked so much better in every single way, and that was something that was actually very, very cool at that moment. Now the thing you also have to remember with the iPhone 11 Pro, or the iPhone 10 in this case, is that the display itself is very nice. It's very sharp, and I definitely like having a display like this. And even in 2024, the year today, I'm telling you, this is still a very, very decent display. On the iPhone 11 Pro, on the other hand, this is a significantly better phone in pretty much every single way you can kind of imagine. So with something like the iPhone 11 Pro, the main advantages of a phone like this is the fact that it looks so good, and it definitely holds up better in this day and age than the iPhone 10. The iPhone 11 Pro came out in 2019, and with a phone like this, the thing that I like a lot about it is that it just looks so good. So the iPhone, 11 Pro, with this type of device, you're getting a phone that basically is still looking very, very good. Same size display, so 5.8 inches. You're still getting a, Super Retina XDR OLED display this time around. And with this type of phone, the big thing to keep in mind here with these types of devices is that they just look so sharp and they look very, very good. You're still getting notches on both these iPhones. And on top of that, beyond that, there's not really too much else that's like super insane going on here. You're still getting like a little bit of bezel around it, no anything curved sides for the most part too. So that's kind of all you're getting with these types of phones. On the bottom, you're getting lightning ports, which is still very nice. Curved sides as well, which is very, very cool. On the back side, this is where things are a little bit different. So the thing with the iPhone 11 Pro is that this is a frosted glass back on this particular phone, which is very, very nice. With the iPhone 10, you're basically getting a standard glass back. So this is a little bit of a difference here for both these devices. And the thing that you're basically running into, and the problem that you're running into with both these phones, is the fact that with something like the iPhone 10, this type of device, you're just getting a phone that seems a little bit outdated compared to phones nowadays. So with something like the iPhone 11 Pro, frosted glass back and a triple camera setup definitely holds up better than a standard glass back with a dual camera setup. And that's kind of just what happens every single time. Again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but that is kind of one thing that you're going to run into with this type of phone. And I would hate for you to go and buy a phone like this if you're not going to enjoy it. And that is essentially kind of what's happening with these types of devices with the iPhone 10. So definitely on the exterior, the iPhone 11 Pro basically wins in almost every single way. And that is the phone that I'd look at as probably being the significantly better one in every single way I can imagine. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. Now on top of that, when it comes down to the price tag, the iPhone 10 is a significantly cheaper phone than the iPhone 11 Pro. So the iPhone 11 Pro is not going to cost as much as the iPhone 10, and that in and of itself is a really big thing to keep in mind here. With something like the iPhone 10, although this is an older phone, it is going to be cheaper than something like the iPhone 11 Pro. So keep that in mind. I don't know if that would be the reason why I'd go ahead and recommend buying that phone, but that is just one of those things to kind of keep in mind if you're looking at a phone like this in 2024. Now on top of that, when it comes down to the cameras, both these particular devices are, still interesting. They still have a lot of, interesting camera layout. So the iPhone 10, which came out in 2017, dual camera setup, wide angle lens and telephoto lens, which is fairly nice for the most part. On the iPhone 11 Pro, this is a triple camera setup, so it's pretty much up to date to what you'd get on today's type of cameras. You're getting a wide angle camera, telephoto lens, and then an ultra wide camera as well. Now the thing to keep in mind with the iPhone 11 Pro is that you're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back of this particular phone, which is really cool. On the iPhone 10, you're basically getting a wide and telephoto lens, and you're getting 4K at 60 on the back, which you're going 1080p on the front of that particular phone. So I would definitely say that if you're going through and buying a particular phone, you're definitely going to be getting a way better experience than something like the iPhone 11 Pro than the iPhone 10. And it's going to be like that every single way you look at it. So with something like the iPhone 10, I'm definitely looking at you right now, and I would definitely say if you're going to go through and buy a phone, I would definitely recommend a device like the iPhone 11 Pro in this particular case, because the camera is just going to be significantly better every single way you can imagine. And I would hate for you to go and buy a phone if it's already going to be outdated by the time you buy it, and that's kind of what's going to end up happening with something like the iPhone, iPhone 10. Even the 11 Pro's camera is starting to get a little bit older, but definitely the iPhone 11 Pro is significantly better than the iPhone 10. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, some other big things to keep in mind. With both these phones from a software perspective, there's a very big difference here. The iPhone 10 has been outdated with software since iOS 16, which is basically since like 2022. So it's about like 2 years old in terms of software. The iPhone 11 Pro is still supported with software as of this point. So pretty much in every single way I can imagine, it makes a lot more sense to go ahead and buy a phone like an iPhone 11 Pro, especially from a software perspective, than something like the iPhone 10. With something like the 10, I think, it's still, getting security updates here and there, and there might be still some reasons why you would want to go and buy a phone like the iPhone 10, maybe like for parts or like for a cheap old phone for a side phone or something like that. But for something like the iPhone 11 Pro, this type of device, what ends up happening here for the most part is if you're going through and buying a device like this, you're just going to end up getting a phone that is already outdated compared to something like the iPhone 10. So something like the iPhone 10, it makes, no sense to basically buy, whereas on the iPhone 11 Pro, it makes all the sense to go ahead and buy. So I'd probably recommend on the iPhone 11 Pro side to actually go through, buy that particular phone, and because that phone is still supported with software. So that's the big thing to kind of keep in mind here too. On top of that, when it comes down to the performance side, the iPhone 10 is giving you that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 11 Pro is giving you that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And once again, when it comes down to that performance side as well, you're definitely going to be getting an overall better performing phone on something like the iPhone 11 Pro. So this phone is giving you more RAM and a newer chipset inside too, which is really cool. So that is something that I actually like a lot about a phone like that. The fact that you can go and buy a phone like that and get a really good everything inside of it. There's really not that much to hate inside of a phone like the iPhone 11 Pro. So that is something that I actually love a lot about that phone. And if you're going to go through and pick up a device, getting something like the iPhone 10 is very, very good. And, I would say at the end of the day, it's a very nice phone and it's something I actually like a lot about that type of device. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it's still a very good phone that I recommend the average person to go and pick up. And it's a better performing phone in every single way, like I said, than something like the iPhone 10. So what I would definitely say at the end of the day is that with the iPhone 11 Pro, this is the better phone in every single way I can imagine. There's really no way I look at something like the iPhone 11 Pro as being worse in any way than the iPhone 10. The only way I could even think about it as being kind of worse is from a price tag standpoint, where the iPhone 10 is a cheaper phone than the iPhone 11 Pro. But even then, what's the point? Then you might as well just go buy the third iPhone at that point, right? The iPhone 3GS. Buy one of those phones, and if it's because it's cheaper. So that can't just be the main reason to go and pick up a phone. But that's kind of how I see these phones kind of holding up and comparing in 2024. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.